We'll call the study session to order. First thing is up is the community room roof.
So right now, this is more just an FYI for council. As you know, we partnered with Detroit Roof Inspection Services to kind of put together a plan for the community room roof. We did open bids last week, and as you see, the prices range very much so from $51,000 all the way to $109,000, and that's just to redo the roof portion. Doesn't include the $30,000+ to actually take the equipment off and put it back on. So Detroit Roof is taking the week to do their full evaluation of the bids, make sure everything's there, and talk to a couple of the contractors. So I'm hoping at our study session next week we'll actually have a formal recommendation from them, and then we can have a more in-depth discussion with council of how you kind of want to approach this. Because if we do go ahead with it, naturally it would be a fund balance project. It is big use for our building. It is something that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. So we'll probably have that discussion more in depth in the next couple weeks or so. But I just wanted to give you an FYI to kick it off.
Were you looking at the one that was $51,000?
Naturally, with these type of projects, we always try to go with the low bidder, but that's why we're going to take his recommendation, which is hopefully everything comes back good, they're clean, and then that'll probably be the recommendation.
Okay.
But yeah, in an ideal world, even though it's $51,000 or $30,000 just for the equipment removal and replacement. The other interesting thing with this project is the timing. These type of projects realistically can only be done in a couple weeks in the spring or in the fall, because it takes the system completely offline. So we have to play that game too.
Wait, so I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So doing this type of project, you're taking heating and cooling for this entire building offline for realistically probably 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So you have to try to find that sweet spot with Michigan weather of, hey, it's not freezing outside so we have some heat, it's not scorching hot where we need air conditioning.
Gotcha.
Naturally, it's Michigan, so we can't guarantee that. It's going to be 81 rainy day in March, but we're trying to play that too. So once we have that formal recommendation, we'll come back to you guys and kind of see how we want to approach this. Okay. If we want to do the project at all.
Okay.
Is the scope of work the same from all of these guys?
Yep. Yeah, and the one thing is once they actually did the field inspection, so part of this bid, we did a mandatory site visit, so the 14 contractors had to come here, and all the contractors agreed this is actually cheaper than we originally thought. When they did the inspection, they're like, oh, we can actually save multiple pieces of underlayering for the roof, and it'll save you a lot of money. So everyone adjusted their bid to kind of go with that, and this is still where it comes out to.
Okay.
But yeah, when you have such a wide range of bidding, that's why we kind of wait for the expert to give their recommendation, make sure everyone's kind of on the same page.
Anything else? Next is conflict conversation.
Jason, if you want.
Yeah, so Mayor Pro Tem Garrett and I attended a SEMCOG training just under 2 years ago called Conflict to Conversation, or From Conflict to Resolution. It was delivered by Dr. Jackie Stavros, who's a professor at Lawrence Tech. I found it to be really helpful in terms of just learning skills and tactics that can be utilized in gracefully managing challenging and confrontational conversations. So I just wanted to bring up the idea to council if this is something that we think could be a beneficial thing to provide for residents and business owners and other stakeholders in the city in a more targeted way. Because the SEMCOG training is obviously for all SEMCOG members. This would be something that we would offer to the public in Lathrup. There presumably will be some kind of a cost associated with it. Mike, I don't know if
I've not heard back yet. Yeah, I followed up a couple times, so we're just waiting for proposal for cost and format, things like that.
Yeah, I imagine it could be something that maybe we might ask SEMCOG to help us fund if there is a cost associated with it, or maybe Lawrence Tech has some sort of a grant or public service program that we could take advantage of. But first thing is this something that the council thinks would be beneficial to have to host in the city? And if so, then we can figure out how do we make it happen.
Can you just give us a sense of like what was it interactive or like how just a little bit of a sense of?
Yeah, the way it was delivered was relatively short. It was like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It was about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes of lecture. Dr. Stavros has written a book on this with a co-author, and so as a presentation that she delivers, presenting the concepts, well, examples of what are difficult conversations, and examples of the tactics used to kind of diffuse them. And then there is an interactive portion where you kind of do small group discussions. You get presented with a situation, right? Then talk about what types of tactics could you use to productively handle the situation.
And it felt like it would scale to residents and.
That's a good question. I felt like it could,
Yeah.
right? Because I feel like, you know, in terms of community engagement, like, we have a lot of difficult conversations, right?
Yeah.
And they don't always get handled productively. And so, certainly, like, for elected officials, that's why SEMCOG hosted the event that Kelly and I went to.
Oh, okay.
Was because a lot of communities and elected officials have to deal with stuff like this. But it seemed to me, because we're such a tight-knit community and we have so much interaction with each other, you know, not just inside the government, but also with residents and the public at large, that it might be beneficial to open it up to that community as well.
I think I would be just worried, like, not, I guess, concerned, like, would residents attend? I wonder, like, depending on the cost, what would be, like, our return on investment? That would be, like, my only concern. I would hate for it to be, you know, $7,000 and we get 2 residents, you know.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it sounds like a good opportunity. I think we just would want to see some more, hear some more information.
Yeah, I agree
Like,
with
how
you.
much does it cost?
I agree with you. This is not something explicitly that the community is asking for, like a training like this.
Not directly.
Not directly, but it is kind of directionally related
Right.
to
Yeah.
an improvement
Yeah.
in engagement, right? So
Yeah.
that's where my head was at. Absolutely, if it seems like it's something that people just won't embrace and not attend or show up for, or only a couple people might, then the juice is not worth the squeeze and it's not worth doing. So we probably need to do, I don't know, some sort of outreach to figure out if there's interest even in participating in something like this.
And I'm thinking now that we're deciding on who's gonna be on the community engagement committee, like, would they be required to attend, you know, to help you guys, since you're building out that plan, is there, maybe there should be like a requirement for them to attend or you all to attend?
Well, I was even thinking, assuming we get them up on their feet pretty quick, is this something maybe they could look into and make a recommendation and even put together?
Sure, yeah, we could totally table this until after the community, until the engagement committee has a chance to discuss it.
Yeah, that sounds, I mean, table sounds like we're getting away from it, but I like the idea a lot, so.
There is no,
And I think,
there's no hard and fast deadline. This
Right.
doesn't have to happen quickly, right?
yeah, there's a number of things that come up throughout today that seem like they're related to that committee being, you know, that we may give them to at least look at,
Yeah.
make recommendations, but
Okay.
I think it's an exciting opportunity. We probably have all been in something like that corporately at one time or another. They can be terrible, but they can also be really good, and the good ones are worth it. So.
Yeah.
This one was really good. It's just I agree with Jalen and figuring out what the cost is and whether or not it's going to be the same people that just the same residents
Right.
that show up. So yeah, I think that it's nothing to be tabled per se, but
Yeah.
to talk about it again in the study session unless we get a price sometime soon regarding it.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to the GAM.
Did you reach out to Cheryl to ask her how much it was?
That's my next step. I
Oh, okay.
directly through Dr. Stavros, so tomorrow I'll reach out to Cheryl and see if she has a better idea.
Okay. Anything else?
I think we shouldn't just stop with whatever costs SEMCOG had to pay. We should also ask, like, is there something that maybe Lawrence Tech would pay for as a community service, or certainly ask if SEMCOG might contribute to offsetting some of the costs. I think we could get creative about how we figure out how to pay for it if we think it's going to be a worthwhile event to host.
Agreed.
That's good.
Thanks.
Anything else? then, next is, fiscal year 26-27 budget calendar.
Yep, so the proposed budget calendar is part of consent agenda tonight, so similar to the past couple of years when we've done this, it's kind of just outlining what our process is gonna be over the next few months. This is just to see if you guys have any questions. Process essentially follows the same thing for the past couple of years. We'll really start off with a lot of internal stuff and a public engagement session. Next week we'll kick off your guys' kind of goal setting, and then from there we'll start getting the formal things where we'll do the budget reviews, public hearings, and things like that. Let's just see if you guys have any general questions.
I got a quick question. Assuming we, approve this calendar, on the website, will the calendar, will this be sort of like its own little thing and you have to download the calendar to see it, or will the individual events potentially, especially the public ones?
Yeah, the formal
Yeah.
events we'll treat like normal events, and they'll be part of the calendar.
Yeah.
Like things like the internal stuff, that will not be.
Right, of course.
Yeah, this is more of just a roadmap for you guys.
All
right
right, so
now.
they'll go up as,
Yep.
That's great, okay.
Anything else? Okay, then moving on, mid-year budget amendments.
Yep, so naturally council knows twice a year at least we do budget amendments for the city, kind of see where we're at going throughout the year finance wise. So on your guys' regular meeting tonight, we do have our mid-year budget amendment recommendation. Mid-year is always high level type things, and then the final one for the year is where we really get in the nitty gritty and we really dive deep into every single line. For the most part, a lot of things are in line this year. The biggest change is in that public safety aspect. The salaries for part-time and overtime have drastically increased. This is due to them being down 2 officers, and then us for our new folks having to go through the FTO program. So which essentially means is we have an extra body on every shift while they're going through the mandatory training to actually be our officer. Working with Chief Zhang, we do have a plan for the rest of the year to kind of combat this cost, and we think we'll actually be able to adjust some of the full-time salaries down at the end of the year. That includes not filling like open shifts, especially during the day, as we do have chief and a sergeant already on staff. We will keep everything filled on the weekends and nights though for safety reasons. But I think we had a good plan. Overall, we feel pretty good where we're at so far this year. And so let's just see if you guys have any general questions before we go to the regular meeting.
I had asked you a few questions via email, mostly around like the new budgeting standards that the state is requiring municipalities to implement. Can you touch on that real quick for the public?
Yeah, let me pull up your email real quick just a second. Say similar things. So yeah, you'll see a lot of the notes in there where either is the addition of contingency or anticipated fund balance usage, or the big thing in the notes where it says state chart of account change. So the state of Michigan has issued brand new chart of accounts to every municipality throughout the state. They essentially told us, hey, everyone has to have similar account processes. So when they come to review our audits and everything, it's similar. It's just straight across the board, so every community is the same. Realistically, it just makes their lives easier. Really labor intensive on our aspect to change it, but that's pretty much what it is. It's essentially just accounting procedures, line item numbers change, and some of the descriptions change for things. But as for contingency, I'd say treat it as that is what your new fund balance addition is going to be, because with this chart of account change, the state likes to see zero-based budgeting. So you'll see a lot of accounts then net revenues and expenditures is zero. So go and find that contingency line item, and that's what we anticipate to actually add to our fund balance this next year. These are all just recommendations from the state. We got to make these changes eventually, so we're starting to do them now where we're doing these budget amendments.
If you anticipated a reduction in a fund balance, would that still be listed as a contingency, but just a negative number?
It would be under revenues. It would say anticipated fund balance usage. So if you want to see an example of it, go to the DDA. They're going to be anticipated to use their fund balance this year because they're paying back the Michigan for credit unions tax return, tax tribunal win. So they'll have a line item that says anticipated use of fund balance. That means they're going to dip into their fund balance this year.
Okay, so you could, in the budget, have both the contingency and a anticipated use of fund balance for the same department, for the same.
Realistically, one's going to probably be zero, and the other one's going to have a number.
Okay.
So, yeah, if they both have numbers, then we just messed up the Excel sheet, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't look that closely to see if that was the case. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, so they should essentially be a contingency and anticipated fund balance usage every single fund. One should be a zero, and the other one's going to have a number in it.
Copy. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I was gonna say, so I know Bruce was asking about something more detailed when we get these. Did you make that change or no?
That's gonna be on the full sheets
Okay.
that we're working through. What
Okay.
he's looking to see, and for me and Michelle is still wrapping our head around it, he wants to see how the fund balance is gonna change throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where this kind of contingency line comes in, so that should hopefully do the calculation every single month. That's what he's looking for. And for us, fund balance number only changes once a year after the audit, but he's trying to track it throughout the year, so.
Yeah, presumably money spent, revenues come in,
Yeah.
the fund balance changes from month to month, and that's what he's looking to see every month. And I think that it just helps, and I agree with him, it'll help the council directionally to
Yeah.
understand, should we be approving expenditures or
Right.
not?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Anything else? Library millage language?
Yep, so based off our last study session, council asked us to draft library millage language to go on the ballot in November. Working with Attorney Baker, we draft some language for your consideration at council tonight. We kind of mirrored this off of Pleasant Ridge, who has the same ballot every 5 years for their contract with Huntington Woods. So we're looking essentially is for a 1 mil millage for a duration of 5 years. And at that point, we'd have to go back out to the voters to be re-voted upon. So this is see if you guys have any questions specifically for Attorney Baker. We'll kind of go from there.
Well, you've called it out in some of the notes, but, we don't wanna put that on, we don't wanna be waiting for that millage and then have to tell them yes or no in July if it's not conditional. So is there a way, do you see a way forward where we can negotiate that language so that we have that condition in there?
Yeah, if you guys approve this ballot language tonight, I think that's where me and Attorney Baker can work with the library board and the library to see if we can amend our current contract to essentially tell them hey, we have this going on the ballot in November. If this fails, can our contract be terminated effective June 30, 2027?
Right.
So yeah, that'd be something after this gets whatever way you guys decide to vote tonight. But yeah, we can always approach it with them. We don't know what they're gonna say.
Yeah.
But
Well, we have a
I
little-
think it's it's
yeah.
a reasonable ask.
It's reasonable when we have the leverage, cause we could just say, okay, and the millage can still go forward, but without being connected to that.
How has the communication been since
Lack thereof from Southfield
yeah,
since January.
yeah, from the library?
So they still haven't responded.
No, I think if you guys approve this tonight, I think that'll change their tune towards this,
Okay.
and hopefully they'll be willing to work with us on some things. But
They haven't been able to talk to anybody.
no.
That's weird. But
Any other discussion? Hearing none. eNewsletter service provider.
Yep, so I sent you guys information and an update a couple weeks back, but tonight I just kind of looked to see if you guys have consensus on anything. So Aftergy, our website provider, they do have a new module that has come out where they do provide actually newsletter services. Packaged with that module comes text notifications and things like that. It's $2,000 a year. We do currently use Constant Contact for our newsletter services, and that's just over $1,200 a year. But it doesn't come with text messaging and things like that. So trying to see consensus with you guys if you think it's a good idea to switch, add those additional features, and then kind of realistically makes it a little bit easier on staff because everything's under one umbrella as well.
do you know if they have a once you actually go through with the contract, do they have a way to help us, or are you just gonna do an email blast? How do we get people to actually put their phone number?
Yeah, from with my demo with them, yeah, there would probably be a little marketing campaign with that. The easy thing for the newsletter, you can just download contacts and ship them over. So the email aspect will be easy. Getting people to sign up with text, it's gonna be hit or miss. It's naturally gonna be based on people if they want them or not, similar to the app usage. But it'll just be another avenue that we could potentially use if people decide to sign up for it.
And this
Is there
would,
a limit of? Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Is there a limit of messages?
From the demo, they said it was unlimited per month.
Okay.
Do we get anything else with Constant Contact besides email?
Nah, it's just email.
No, like
Yeah.
surveys or anything like that?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, again, this was another item that I thought, well, this is great for the communication committee to, you know, understand, the use of text, or potential use of text in addition to everything else, so. So you're saying that the difference in price would be $800, it would give us new capacity?
Roughly, yeah. Yeah, you get the newsletter aspect, which stays the same, but then you also get the additional services with texting.
Did they do a preview of the AI chatbots?
They did. I did like it. At the end of the day, it's a fancy search tool, not worth $2,500 in my opinion, especially for
With
a
this-
smaller city. But
So the chatbot will only be for the newsletter, or would it be
No,
connected to the website?
the
too?
chatbot's completely connected to the website.
Okay.
So it works just like any other Google or ChatGPT website. You type in a prompt. If you can't find it in the search, it searches the website for you and pulls out anything you can.
Okay.
The demo looked cool. Not gonna lie. Not worth $2,500 right now. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Do you know if there's so with the contract for Constant, if you break it,
It's essentially month to month.
Okay.
I'd have to double check. I wouldn't be surprised. Naturally, they bill us the second of each month, so it's probably, as long as I cancel it before then, should be good.
Okay.
Realistically, they're gonna overlap for a month or two. I would get everything turned over and go through that couple newsletter weeks of headaches, but
So people will have to re-sign up through the new service. There's no way to migrate existing registrants on Constant
yeah,
Contact.
can
so
migrate
they're gonna take
email,
the,
right?
I can download the email contacts from Constant
Yeah.
Contact. Apogee can upload it into their system.
Great.
If anything, during the couple of tests, we're gonna have to see how many go
I'm
to
sure some of them
spam
will
and things
fail.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
How many email filters go like that. So for a couple of weeks, we'll probably do double newsletters, letting people know this Constant Contact one's going away. Please check spam. Make sure this is there.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's all I have, unless people got some questions, especially on regular meetings.
I did have a question, thank you for the regular meeting. I saw that you have the partnership agreement from the historical and from the nature.
Yep.
Does that mean that the women's group does not wanna continue with the partnership agreement?
They do. They're reviewing it internally with their board on how they want to outline it and what they want from the city, what they want to offer. So I expect that to come to us next month.
Okay.
One thing I did have, Bruce had asked me earlier, in November when we discussed the rules of procedure, inadvertently we had attached the wrong draft copy of the current rules of procedure. So Mike did send out late this afternoon the updated copy. There were two sentences that were omitted from the draft version that you guys saw. The one of concern to Bruce was that if individual council members are sending correspondence to the administrator, copy him on those as well. Those just something he wanted me to bring up tonight.
Oh, I know, yeah, thank you, sorry. Anyone have anything regarding what he just said?
No, it's that.
So you're saying if I email you, I need to add?
Yeah, just the policy under the rules of procedure is that normally you would copy any correspondence directly to the mayor, or to the administrator, you copy the mayor on those as well, just so that the mayor's kind of in the loop as to what's going on.
That's one way to handle it.
I don't email you anyway.
Wow.
I call you. You need to be on my phone calls too?
We don't have a policy on that.
Well, technically, that was always we were supposed to be doing that, people just didn't seem to do it with the previous administration, so. Also, Bruce asked if we could put together a resolution or proclamation or a statement regarding the recent fatal shooting from ICE in Minnesota, and to express solidarity with the affected cities. Mike put something together Bruce approved it already, and, did you all get it?
Oh, ma'am.
I said no, I didn't. No, we're moving forward with anything now. I can.
Over here, read and pass it around. It just came out today. So, but I guess it's just, if you want to, do you all want to do a statement, or this would be considered a resolution though, wouldn't it?
That's more, it would be more in line with a proclamation. It's prepared as just a statement from the council. It's not not hierarchy of, you know, you have statements, proclamations, resolutions, ordinances. Normally if you're going to honor someone or something, you would do it in the form of a proclamation. So my recommendation is if you were to adopt something similar, adopt this, as it's presented, to do it as a proclamation.
A proclamation, not a statement? How come?
Well, like I said, I mean, the council speaks through resolutions, proclamations, and ordinances, so you can make a statement, but I would say the lowest tier of things would be proclamation. So that would be consistent with other types of statements that this body would make publicly. So like I said, if you're doing something to honor individual or a group, or recognize an event or whatever, it's usually in the form of a proclamation.
Okay. I was yesterday doing some research and like seeing what people were saying online from other communities, right? And I saw like the mayor of Detroit made a personal statement, not with the council, but just from the mayor's office. The governor of the state made a personal statement from her office, not from Congress, state Congress. So I don't think we're talking here about any individual making any sort of a statement, but the city could make a statement, which would be different than the council making a statement, right?
Yeah, it'd be different than individual council members making a statement. So, yeah, this is essentially the council as a whole is voting and approving this proclamation. So it's a statement on behalf of the council and the city.
Understood. Is there an electronic?
I just emailed it to you, Three, just so you have it.
So the reason why it was brought up, why it's late, because I wasn't aware of it until, actually, when did we talk? Sunday? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday
so.
evening, yeah.
Seems like we should be added in the communication, vice versa.
Well, I think that we should, and the fact that is if it's stuff like this, that it should go out to all of council. However, and I think that's something we also have to talk about, when something comes in on Saturday or there's a discussion on Sunday, I think that's why we have the procedures in place that you have to get your things in by Thursday. And I can't remember what day this happened, but that's why you have deadlines for certain things, and I think that's why you didn't get it, because I just got it this morning. Do you want to read it out loud? I mean, it was between you and Bruce that thought about this, so I mean, I guess I should have gave it to you to discuss.
I was kind of expecting to see a draft before the meeting, but I understand the timing. So.
I just got it this morning.
Yeah, I understand. Sure, I'll be happy to read it. A statement condemning recent fatal ICE shootings in Minnesota and expressing solidarity with the affected cities. Whereas the city of Lathrup Village is committed to the protection of human life, the peaceful resolution of conflict, and the dignity and safety of all people. And whereas in January 2026, multiple fatal shootings of civilians by federal immigration enforcement personnel, including U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Border Patrol agents, occurred in Minneapolis, Minnesota, resulting in the deaths of 2 individuals, including Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, amid Operation Metro Surge and related enforcement actions. And whereas these incidents have drawn widespread public concern, protest, and calls for accountability and thorough, transparent investigations by independent authorities. And whereas local officials and community members in Minneapolis and neighboring cities have voiced deep sorrow, outrage, and demands for law enforcement reforms while urging de-escalation and respect for due process. And whereas this council recognizes the profound impact of such violence on families, neighborhoods, and civic life, and affirms the principle that all government action must uphold constitutional rights and the sanctity of human life. Now therefore, the City of Lathrop Village City Council condemns the use of lethal force resulting in the deaths of civilians during enforcement actions in Minnesota and calls for full, impartial, and transparent investigations into these shootings. Expresses deep sympathy and solidarity with the families of those killed, the residents of Minneapolis and surrounding communities, and all who have been affected by these events. Affirms that the protection of life and civil liberties must guide the conduct of all law enforcement operations at the federal, state, and local levels. Encourages respect for peaceful civic engagement and de-escalation of conflict while urging all levels of government to work toward policies that prevent further loss of life and preserve community trust. Very good.
So,
I got it on my screen, thanks.
so wait, so you said when you were asking about just the mayor making a statement, so you weren't, so were you for?
No, I was providing examples of statements that I had seen from other communities, not supporting one approach or the other. I
You
think.
were saying it was, you were pointing out the ones who were just like the mayor saying it, and so I was just.
Yeah, I was curious to see like if Detroit or other neighboring communities had done some sort of a public statement or a resolution from the governing body. And what I found was, you know, at least in this case of the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan, just the leaders of those governments, the mayor and the governor, made personal statements.
Yeah, but I don't think we, you know, the way we're set up, we don't really have a independent executive. I mean, he's a weak mayor, quote unquote. If Lathrop's gonna do it, it feels like it's either us or nobody, like the city council.
When it comes publicly,
yeah.
as a body, yeah,
Yeah,
'cause I already
yeah.
made a statement.
Right, people can
personally.
make their
Yeah.
personal statement, sure, yeah. It's hard to find anything to disagree with in this statement, from my point of view anyway. It doesn't feel, you know, I mean, I guess the risk here, right, is that we become some sort of politicized, nationally politicized body, but the way it's worded, it feels like it goes past that pretty quick, right? It's about an incident as opposed to, you know, not, I don't know, I'm just anticipating what other people might think about us acting in this way, but it certainly feels like a time to do something. And if people are comfortable if people weren't comfortable, I would understand that as well, because that's not typically how this body behaves, or you know what I mean. But I'm for it, yeah, just unofficially right now. I know we're not voting, but if we were to vote for it, I would back that.
Yeah, I support it too. I mean, when I was thinking about this last night, I just had two things running through my head. One was, would a statement like this be representative of how the council feels like we need to be, something we need to be doing in leadership of the community? Like, does it represent the values of the community? And I think it does, the way it's written. And the other thing is, and you know, Kelly and I were talking about this last night. It can't just be one statement and then we don't do anything else about this ever again. There needs to be some sort of we don't have to decide today what it's going to be, but there needs to be some sort of an additional action, or you know, something that this body can continue to do to try and reduce the possibility of the risk of incidents like this continuing to happen, and try to do what we can to make sure it doesn't happen here, and try to improve the situation. And whether that's, I mean, there could be a million different things that could be. It could be something political, supporting campaigns. It could be other public statements. It could be participating in events or making public speeches. It could, and even a million other things beyond that. But it can't just stop with one proclamation, and that's the only thing that we do.
What I like about this particular language is that it does link the sentiment with real thoughts about what it is to be a civic leadership group, you know, which we are. And I think we can speak at that level, like, you know, just the way it starts, you know, as a group that values life, basically, right? So, I feel, you know, the opening sentence, I really like, and I think commitment to that opening sentence as a group, this is a good start. It can be small too, though, you know, when you think about, like, the peaceful resolution of conflict. If we end up putting that out there, I think you can count that as a step in the same direction.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how the public will respond to us being an active political force all the time. But again, to me, I'm behind this statement and generally speaking, the sentiments behind it, so. And, you know, we can act in however we see fit, and if they really don't like it, we'll hear about it, so, you know, just, it's new territory, I think, but I think it's called for. And I do like, yeah, the especially the opening sentence. I think that puts us on firm footing.
So I'm trying to debate if I want to say what I want to say, but the conversation, Jason says things so much more eloquently than what I said, and I said I didn't want it to be performative.
Yeah.
And right now I felt as though it was, I'm that there's these other cities that's doing something, saying something, so we need to put a statement out also. But then my thing is, what's the teeth behind it? What are you going to do behind it? And my thing, I have suggestions on what we should do, but I know it's not going to be popular whatsoever. And I think I would drive Attorney Baker straight up the wall if I say all the stuff that I think we should do. And I mean, we could do the same thing that Washtenaw County says, that, you know, you're not allowing ICE to come into this building. You know, or there are things we can put behind it. So are we just putting this out to say, okay, we put a statement out also? Or what's our next steps to say that this is something that we truly condemn, that we really are putting our money where our mouth is? So let's just, go ahead, say what you want to say. I can see you.
No, I'm
not. That was just my thought. Well, I guess I talked to you also last night about it, so it was, you know.
And, you know, my thoughts on it, just, you know, doing something like this, obviously, you're reflective of your community values, and you have a good pulse and understanding of what your community, how they respond to situations and incidents like this, and showing your support. I think it is important. It's, you know, where I get concerned, and Kelly's point that drives me up the wall, it's just that I would be concerned that if we go to an extreme where now you're potentially looking at someone being retaliatory for whatever reason, you know, federal grants or funding. I mean, I think it's very unlikely that anything would come to that, but we've seen responses to pettier things from the current administration that, you know, you would hate to jeopardize something and come back and find out that, it was you know, a policy or something that we adopted or an ordinance we enacted. You know, in 2017, a lot of communities were adopting ordinances and designating themselves as sanctuary cities. It's something that this body, or this previous body, did consider something along those lines. Ultimately, we settled upon adopting a resolution establishing Lathrup as a welcoming city and embracing all. So it was I don't want to say less. You know, it wasn't that we didn't take a position or a stand, but we addressed the issue. But we did it in a way that mitigated our potential exposure to, you know, any sort of adverse consequences of that. I mean, there are other communities that have taken that action and have, you know, maybe not directly have missed out on federal opportunities, but you know, I think there's so those are really my only concerns. It's not necessarily I think we should do one thing or something else, but obviously my job is to try to minimize exposure to the city and you know, keep keep costs down if possible in any way, in any way, shape, or form.
I think the statement is a good start, but I'm wondering like how we kind of work with different things where we say let's not be the, I guess, the test dummy. Could we move slowly with our action items going forward? You know, after this, of course, after we put out the statement, and just see like the climate. I don't think we need to like expeditiously do.
Yeah, I mean, and this is, so these are conversations that Mike and myself and Chief Zhang have already had. It really, I think, in response to the initial with Ms. Good, that this, when it comes down to it, it's federal government is not ringing the phone downstairs and saying, hey, we're going to be performing these types of activities. Oftentimes, local law enforcement has no idea what they're not briefed on the day-to-day operations. Legally, if a federal agency asks for information, our police department is supposed to provide names if they have names, but we don't have a detention. So normally it would be like if they had someone in detention that had an immigration issue, or they were not a U.S. citizen, then if ICE was to contact and say, hey, do you have anybody in your holding facility? We don't have that, so we're not going to get those telephone calls. The request for information is probably, they're not going to call downstairs. It would really be, our department would be in response to probably calls from citizens or somebody else, like, hey, there's something going on, there's a disturbance, and then they would, I can't speak for Chief Zhang, he's obviously not here, but they would likely dispatch and do whatever it is that they would normally do in those situations to control, to try to
keep the
maintain a
peace.
safe environment and keep the peace. But there's not a direct involvement between Lathrup Police Department and any federal agency. There's very limited coordination even between other agencies. I mean, state police, and there's been activities and FBI activity in the city previously that as a courtesy, the department was made aware of certain things that were happening, but there was no necessarily direct involvement or requirement that our officers participate or provide assistance or anything along those lines. So
I agree with you that this can't be performative. If we're going to make this statement, then there needs to be some action that follows it. I don't think that we need to decide what that action is tonight, but I do think that we should be in agreement as a council that directionally we intend to take some sort of an action in.
Well, I think we should do the statement. Don't get me wrong. I think the statement, you do the proclamation, it's getting messed up. Do that, and then, but yeah, have something. Let's talk about it some more, not just where it's just, we did it.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to be as transparent with what you think we should do, because we can always say, but we can always say, oh, that's too much for this group, or what, we can say those things, but I would have no problem with you broaching the subject, so, and maybe come up with other ideas as well, myself. I mean, I do think it's important. I do think the point of connection being cities, right, the fact that it's happening in a city, and that's the level of government that we're showing solidarity makes a lot of sense to me. So what else could we do city to city, I think is important,
So that's a yes to read it during,
Yeah,
okay.
yes.
All right, so that's gonna be, somebody can, I guess that goes
On
during.
the agenda.
It doesn't necessarily have to go on the agenda, you can read it.
yeah, I would
during
amend the
comments.
agenda. Normally,
Proclamations normally you guys do
right
a
up at the beginning.
presentation.
So.
Okay, so someone can, amend the agenda to have a presentation before we get into the action items.
And so, I'm sorry, but will this then therefore be a proclamation if we do all that?
Yeah, that would be my recommendation for consistency's sake with other statements of this official body, that those are.
Is there anything that we have to change or do to make it that? Right now it says a statement condemning.
Yeah, I think we just would reformat it to read that it's a proclamation, but
Okay.
it's not even on the agenda packet right now, so when Mike updates that so that it is searchable.
I just meant when we read it.
Oh, yeah, I would just read
Say
it as
proclamation.
I would amend, and add item 5A, a proclamation, yeah.
So it's amend the agenda to have item 5A, so we have to place on the agenda to bring
Move
this
that
up.
And what-
Then it gets read, then we vote on,
Mm-mm, it just gets
we don't
read.
just
No,
read
it's
it.
just, it's a statement, so there's a consensus that, you know, there's,
We don't need to vote on it, it's, once it's on the agenda,
Mhm.
the agenda modification is approved, it just gets read into the record and then we're good.
so if someone had an objection, I guess, an objection that they would make, put it on the record during the motion to amend.
To amend the agenda,
So you want this, where did you want it to say, proclamation
at the
here?
top.
Should just be
It's
in
a
the
statement.
title,
Like
Instead
the
of a
title.
statement.
Okay.
Mike's already on it.
I wanna bring up something real quick in advance of being in there about the communication committee. So right now, last time we talked about having it be a 5-person committee. We kinda pulled that number, could have been 4, right? We had 6 applicants, Mayor looked and recommended 5. My thought is, given both the geography of the applicants, and the need for this and the workload, I don't know, and if it's all about engagement and 6 people went to the trouble of doing it, could the committee be those 6 people? I don't see anything that distinguishes, they're all pretty good, if you read it. And they all bring different things. There was a little block of people in the in the southwest, which is actually pretty good, because I feel like that's an underserved part in terms of communications, but this would, if you took all 6. So I don't know what the point of order is here, like how I would, potentially suggest that at the meeting, expanding the group to 6, or if there's some official way, but that's my thought, and just open that to discussion.
Well, the only reason why they have it, it's always an odd number,
Yeah,
so
that's
you
what I'm
won't
saying.
have a tie.
Cause then, once you add them 2, then it's 8 people, right?
Well,
But they
the
won't
way
have
we
votes.
establish the committee, the liaison and the advisor don't have votes.
Oh, well,
But it
Well,
would-
could we vote in case of tie? I mean,
Not based on how we establish the committee.
yeah, I don't wanna vote anyway.
But you can do, may I suggest, that
Yeah.
you can do, an alternate, kinda like, what I am to the DDA. Still have the person be involved and understand.
They could be in the committee and then an alternate in terms of voting.
Right, if somebody can't be there, they can still
Yeah.
do the alternate to vote.
yeah, like a advisory member.
Yeah. Well, I wish Bruce was here, because I would break up the voting block a little bit. Like if we were gonna do that, I would potentially say they're all there, but that one of those 3 should be the alternate rather than one of the other 3, just because of the way they're split up geographically.
So there are 7 people who applied.
Oh, I only have 5 or 6 rather.
In the online packet, there are 7.
Oh, well, I don't get, I
names.
looked at the paper packet. All right.
Um,
Well, maybe we bring the 2 that he didn't recommend on as alternates and leave it at that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's nothing that says you have to follow.
I just think
The
that
mayor's
having
recommendation.
more voices right from the beginning is gonna be useful.
I would just say that you run the risk of too many cooks spoiling the soup.
Maybe
Yeah.
that leveling then, the 5 voting members and.
Which would be a good way to do it. Also, you don't have to be on the committee to participate in the meetings and provide a voice.
Yeah. Just want, like I said, I couldn't see, I only saw the 6, but I couldn't really see the argument for one of them over the other, and it just seemed like a way to solve it, but, I like that 2-tier system if that's something we could do. So we would adopt the 5 and then offer the other 2 alternate positions, huh?
Yeah, so Scott, if we were gonna do that, like when we established the committee, we just said there would be 5 voting members. If we wanted to add alternate positions, what's the procedure
I
to do
don't
that?
see, I don't see an issue with it. Logistically, just thinking like how would you decide if only one person's absent, how would you decide?
Who's the
which one
first
of the 2 would
alternate?
be the first alternate, draw straws or something like that.
Well, if there's truly 7 people, which I didn't realize, I mean, we could get around the odd number thing by just saying there's 7 voting members and have them elect officers so that there's a little bit of order and hierarchy, right?
Yeah, but I kind of feel like if we have too many people on this committee, then it just runs the risk of not being as productive as we're looking for it to be. And I'd rather start with 5 members and allow those 5 members to choose if they want to expand the membership of the committee because they feel like differently than I do, based on their experience being on the committee, that, yeah, if we have 7 people on this committee, it's not going to slow us down. I'd rather have them make that decision. They could also say 5 is too many and maybe we should whittle it down to 3, you know, I mean.
Well,
you guys are
Yeah.
developing the committee, so, I mean, if we're at the beginning stage,
Yeah.
I don't see why we have to give them that ability. I could understand if we were like,
If we were established.
they were already established,
That's
true.
then yeah, they could have that right, but I think, or that decision, but I think, you know, having 7 members doesn't sound like a bad thing. We're looking for people to be involved in the community, so I
Great point.
think, you know, if 7 people actually applied, then, and it's a odd number, I think we should just let it ride.
Fair point. Yeah.
I'm agree with Jason that I think that is probably too many people, to keep it at the 5. I mean, that's like us. Should we move up to 7? I mean, you
If
know.
you want to.
No, I'm just saying, you know.
There is precedent set for this with the planning commission.
Mhm.
Right, planning commission used to have 5 people on it, and then we extended to 7. But the reason why we did that was because we kept not having quorum.
Right.
So this committee doesn't have to have quorum because it's
Right.
not I mean, it is appointed, but it's not but it
They're
doesn't.
not a deciding body.
It's not a deciding body relative to ordinance or enforcement, or expenditure, so,
I don't know, I think having more gives different point of views. It might keep people, you know, it might provide balance, you know. Everyone doesn't need to think the same. Everyone doesn't need to feel the same way, so, I mean, I'm on board with 7, you know.
I'd suggest the other thing, is I've been going to the different committee meetings and, you know, they all sort of bring up things that they've tried to do or wanna do, and the big hurdle is that communication, right, getting more people. So potentially this group would lend itself to some subcommittee-like actions, you know, where these people take on this thing and come back with a recommendation, and again, if we are helping them organize, we could suggest that type of thing, and then having 7 would be less bulky and maybe get more done. One thing that I'm really, and this is just me, you know, it's not, but there's a bunch of things happening, coming down the pipe, whether it's the budget, calendar or the master plan thing, where it's just really important that we get going quickly, and that's hard to do, you know, with the new group. So if we have more people, maybe we can cover more ground.
And I know that Bruce also, when he talked to me about the recommendations, the people that he picked
Yeah.
was because they all had some type of background in communication also.
I saw that, and I did think when we talked about it when Bruce was here, that we thought that would be a great thing to have on the committee, people with that type of thing, but that also having some people that maybe, I don't think we got anybody like that to apply, but having some people on there that just don't have any communication with the city would be great, like, you know, how do they not know it, you know, we're not gonna get those people for that very reason, but I think it's okay if the level of, you know, expertise in this is not, you know, the same across the board. Well, this is one of those cases where you need 5 people. That was my suggestion. I also, I mean, I guess the other thing is I wouldn't necessarily have picked the 5 that Bruce picked, not for anything against the 5, but because I thought that if we switch that up a little, that we could expand the coverage of our, you know, geographic coverage, which was one of the things we discussed as well. There was expertise and there's geographic and also age demographics, and I just think 7, to me, I think we can handle, and there's a lot of work to do, and maybe there's a facility for pulling back on it in the future, if it does become unwieldy. That's my thought on that, so I don't know how to proceed in the actual meeting. I was looking for some advice there.
well,
Yeah.
we don't have to vote for who the mayor recommended, they're just recommendations. So
Yeah.
there's nothing that obligates the council to select those people, you can select different people who applied. I don't know what the procedure would be, because when we established it, we said there would be 5.
So that was the discussion that was had during the study session. You haven't actually established the
Anything.
committee yet, so I think the,
Yeah.
you know, the motion, or if that's what you're indicating you would like to do, would be that the committee be expanded to 5 in the establishment, and that expanded from the contemplated 5 to 7, and that all 7, the applicants,
Be
be
approved.
considered for, you know.
I feel like we run the risk of too many cooks, but I also see the point of more engagement is better, especially in a committee that the word engagement is in the title of the committee. So I would support appointing all 7 applicants.
Well, then I'll probably make that motion. People can vote or however they feel. Okay, thanks. Sorry, I know we haven't had public.
Yeah, I do want to remind council we do have a new meeting start time.
In 2
7
minutes.
o'clock.
Yep.
No.
So, we can, the council comments can, if you all don't mind, be on pause until the other meeting. But is there anyone that would like to speak from the public?
Very briefly, I know we're up against our other meeting. I just wanted to, Tim Hillman, San Clinton. I just wanted to speak quickly in response to your discussion about ICE. One, thank you for drafting and agreeing to move forward with that resolution. I'm in support of that, of course. I wanted to let everyone know, in case you weren't aware, several weeks ago, my neighbor Lainey Epstein and I drafted and had co-signed by a few dozen residents a letter to Mayor Cantor, and a few others were copied in regards to local policing and ICE. So I just wanted to update everybody about some things that Lathrup Village already has done. Granted, there are only commitments to not do things, but I want to state them out loud for public record anyway. We ask that the city confirm that Lathrup Village Police don't ask about immigration status during routine police work like traffic stops, don't hold someone based on only an ICE request, don't take part in immigration enforcement, stay focused on local public safety. We also ask that the city confirm Lathrup Village does not participate in any 287G agreements, which are formal agreements between local police and Border Control, which essentially deputize local police to act as federal immigration agents. And the city responded affirmatively, at least from our perspective, to all of those things. So I appreciate Mayor Cantor and Police Chief Zhang and Attorney Baker and Manager Green in committing to direct our local police in acting in that way. The only thing I'd like to add, because it triggered this thought in me tonight, is we may not have our own holding cell, but we do pay the city of Berkeley's police department for their holding cell. So one action item could be to confirm that the Berkeley Police Department is conducting their police work in coordination with our specific points of view. And if in fact their cooperation with ICE is something we're not comfortable with, do something to influence their behaviors. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jay Lee. I established my business in the Lathrup Village since 1999, about 27 years. Couple of years ago, since they blocked 696 each way, and also they blocked the whole Southfield Road for about 6 months time, like that. My revenue was dropped out to about half, most likely half of that. Any the Oakland County or city members where about businesses like me, any kind of support programs available for the, financially, anything, that's my question, so.
Are you Munson Cleaners?
Yes.
Okay.
You're asking if the council is aware of any programs from the county to support small businesses impacted by construction?
Yes, that is correct.
But we could certainly
Yeah, we can.
do some research for you
Yes.
and ask, our, county commission representative if they have any ideas.
Yeah, thank you.
Austin, is there anything like with Main Street?
Really quick, Lillian Kaiser Lowry, Rosemary Village. Question is, do we have a parliamentarian that makes sure the meetings run like we keep? And for example, when we had the Hadley Amendment meetings, there are people who would just get up and speak, and there were others who would wait to talk, or were told you get up, you wait. But there are others that would just, they had something to say and would say it. So is there a parliamentarian, plans to have a parliamentarian that will make sure that the communication is, fair? And then the last thing I have, I know in the city council meeting, you're gonna be talking about Zoom. If the city has 501c3 status, you can get Zoom at a discounted rate because you are a nonprofit. You also can go through TechSoupStock as a nonprofit to get computers, software, and things like that. So I think we need to look for more options based on our status and some of those discounts. That's it.
Anyone else? Thank you. None? We are adjourned. See you in another room.